Hey, Buccaneers fans. We are in the house. It is draft day, and the Buccaneers have made their first selection of last night, sorry. And that was defensive tackle Kalijah Cansey out of Pitt. Hey, I was expecting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go down the alley of I believe offensive tackle from Oklahoma, Harrison. I thought that's where they were going. I really did, because we needed that help. We got rid of a guy. We got rid of Donovan Smith. But guys, remember, Donovan Smith has not been signed, so the Buccaneers may want to bring him back cheap because they believe he is a guy who can just do a job and not be great at it. He's probably considered mediocre to poor, but for the money, hey, if you were paying that guy what he took away from his contract and added a bit of money to it, he probably is being paid around about where he should be. So we have a first couple of comments of the day. We got Bucs, Rays, and Bolts. We're giving a bit of hello. Want branch? Hey, I'll take that. I'll take a bit of branch. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Hey, let's go and get ourselves some. We'll see what the Buccaneers are going to do tonight. We don't really get great draft coverage over here, so if you see my head turning, it's because I have to crane and look at a TV occasionally. Other than that, I'll be looking at the draft tracker, so my eyes will be flicking down. But without further ado, the Buccaneers have a new player on their line, and I tell you what, that looks a beefy line. That looks nasty. You know what I'm saying? You got a bit of Vita Vea, Kalijah Cansey, and I believe that they're going to put Greg Gaines next to them three. That's going to be your free guys. And then the real conundrum: who are they going to put at edge rusher? We know Shaq's there at one side. Who's going to be the other side? Is it going to be a committee? Is it going to be? I mean, I can see Nelson really nailing down that spot right now, because. What pick am I at? Give me a moment, because for some reason I was watching ESPN and ESPN decided to screw me and show me basketball. Nothing against basketball. I've only just got into it though. British guy just figuring it all out, right? So they've taken that off, and I've now got to redouble my efforts. But I don't want to spend my time looking at a screen, and I want to talk to you guys. So I will probably just check with the draft trackers and just go with that. Well, that being said, guys, I think Branch is a solid pick. I mean, I really like Sidney Brown too. So it depends on what's available at the time, but I do really like Sidney Brown. It'd be kind of cool if we got both Brown brothers. I don't know if the other one's been drafted yet. The running back out of Illinois. Out of Illinois. And it would be kind of like getting the Barber brothers, but not. That'd be kind of cool in itself. But now, the last one, I think it was the Jets pick was the last one I saw. So they picked center Joe Tripman. Yeah, so the Packers, Jets, and the pick is in for the Indianapolis Colts. We will see. You guys are probably a little bit ahead of me. I hope you're having a good boozing afternoon. But where should the Bucs go now? I really want to go offensive tackle unless they got a plan. Could we be seeing Luke Goedeke play tackle? Because originally in his school, that's what he played. He played tackle, right? And if our memory serves, he didn't play badly at tackle when he did play tackle. You know, when they have those guys and they go, oh, well, this guy probably in the NFL is going to end up playing guard. Maybe he's just one of those guys that is just a tackle. And he could just be a tackle. And he might be a better tackle than he is a guard. So you end up going Hainsey. I can't remember the other gentleman. We recently got a guy. You got Hainsey, Stinney, with the fireball red flame that is Brian Jensen, with Christian Wirfs, and then potentially Luke Goedeke, who might be better at left tackle than he is at left guard. I'm not disagreeing with that. We got to remember, we don't spend time in the practice rooms, and I'm a coach myself. That would be mad if it was Hooker. Bucs, Rays, and Bolts has gone be mad if Hooker. I wouldn't. I really liked Hooker, and we had a gentleman on here called David Shealy, who's a news anchor of sports in the Tampa Bay area, and he sold me against him because I was like, this dude, yeah, but I don't watch Hooker's tape because college football in the UK is much more difficult to get hold of. You do have to pay a bit of a premium to watch it, and the coverage isn't particularly best. It's very choppy. It's very rough. Maybe they fixed it now. I don't know. So I only tend to watch games that I'm a fan of. So Tennessee isn't a team that I tend to watch. So I don't know much about Hendon Hooker except for looking at his stat book, and his stat book looks impressive. But I just want to give a bit of shout out to Will Levis because that guy had to sit in a room where the entire nation was kind of mocking him a little bit because at the end of the day he didn't get drafted, right? But I'm going to give that guy his flowers. He got drafted. Doesn't matter what you get drafted, as long as you get an opportunity. He's got his opportunity. Hopefully, this dude goes and shows a few people a thing or two. I'm pleased for him. I'm glad he didn't have to wait too long. People are talking about how it would injure his prospects by not attending the green room. Come on, let's live in the real world a minute. If you're worried about how someone's going to attend in a green room, you're really not really looking at football properly. I want to look at a guy how he plays football, not how he fucking attends a fucking green room. Come on. We're living in 2020 now, yeah? 2022, 2023. Shit, I'm behind the times. Anyway, we got Kalijah Casey. I really like the pick. Hey, there was a guy we had on our show recently. He's the lead writer for Bucs Report. JT Olson, absolute stud, absolute dude of a writer. And he said something very profound. Something I didn't know is Jason Light likes to draft guys who are high end percentile of their positional group in athleticism. Well, guess where Kalijah Casey fits into that bill? Yeah, he's the number one defensive tackle in athleticism. What a stud. And he's going to sit there, probably sat there supping. I don't know what he drinks. I like to think he drinks beer. He looks like a beer drinker. I like to think he's drinking beer. I'm going to go with that. He's drinking beer. Game over. He gone. Absolute. Hey, Bucs Report have already re-signed him. He can't get out of the contract anymore. We're stuck with him. At the same time, it's all good. It's all fun and games. And yeah, we could be looking at. If I was looking at where the Bucs going to go, I'm thinking offensive tackle. I'm thinking safety. Those are the main two needs I think this Buccaneer football team has. You could argue running back depending on your mindset. I feel that the running back position is diminished in recent years. I don't think you need to be too aggressive on it too much anymore. I think you can wait till fourth round and get a serviceable person. And we've had guys who are undrafted knock it out of the park lately. Robinson and what was that guy? Philip Lindsay. In recent years, and then in the last 4 years, they knocked it out of the freaking park, man. They may not really do much now, but they knocked it out of the park at one point. They're not a freak occurrence. You don't just be good in the NFL because you tripped, sneezed, and fell over and broke your tooth. You're probably talented. So this Buccaneer football team's got a couple of things to figure out where they're going to go with this. I'm hoping on an offensive tackle, but when we discuss how this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team got to that pick, I saw the outrage. I saw a little bit of the outrage. I saw some people going, I like it. A couple of people going, oh, we should have took Will Levis. You know, there's an argument for that because at the end of the day, it's potentially you've had a guy who's dropped out of the top 10. A lot of people had him, pay for the top 10. I believe he was even very, said by Vegas that he was going to be potentially the second or third quarterback off the board. He wasn't. So to have a guy that's slated to be a certain position to come down and you can pick him, we could look at that in the future and say that was a missed opportunity, depending on what he does. But this is going to be hindsight, right? Because right now, I'm not massively worried about it because I'll be honest. I stay the fuck away from quarterbacks. They scare the shit out of me. There's one thing I do not want to sit there and work out as a quarterback, because yeah, if I knew the truth, I'd make a lot of money. Put it that way. People are still figuring out. There's still NFL first round pick. There's no way on paper that Dak Prescott is the best quarterback taken in his draft in the 4th round. There's no way that Russell Wilson's the best quarterback taken in his draft. You know what I'm saying? So my point being is, that's the one position I want to stay away from. I don't want nothing to do with it. I always like to go with guys who, if I'm going to go for a quarterback, I want to go with a guy who has done a lot with not a lot. And Will Levis kind of personifies that for me a little bit. But then so does the cat that they got in the Jets, Milf Lover. His ass says that too. But he hasn't lived up to expectations. So, you know what? It's one of those things. You just don't know what you're going to get till you get it. So, where do the Bucs go from here? Well, I was hoping they go for tackle. I still think I hope they go for tackle. But it depends on what's available to them. I mean, when they took Kalijah Kancey, did they look at Kalijah Kancey and go, what is the drop-off? If we take this cat here, and this is my point, which is why I've been arguing with a few people today. If you take Kalijah Kancey here in the 1st round, what is the drop-off on our next pick for a defensive tackle? Or they're probably going to kick him out to end, right? Because he's an undersized defensive tackle. Where do you put an undersized defensive tackle in a 3-4 team? You kick him to end, right? That's just what you do. Because if I remember correctly, we had a guy on our team called Will Golston that is an undersized defensive tackle who got kicked out to end. Well, he was an end that could play defensive tackle, or a defensive tackle that could play end. And then when he went into a 3-4, played end. Simply done. This cat's an end. I just want to reiterate to a couple of folk. On paper, Logan Hall's a defensive tackle. He plays end in our scheme. So people need to start learning that we don't play a 3-4. We don't play a 4-3. So there's no free tech in our system. On paper, we do have 4-3 looks, and that's fine, because you've got to show more than one thing. And I'm pretty sure on goal line we have a 5-man line, because that's what you do. Most teams do on a goal line. That's what I do in my team. What I'm trying to say is he's going to end up being a 5 tech, and I wouldn't be surprised it's going to be Gaines, him, and Vaya. Vaya in the middle, and Gaines and this cat either side of him. You got one strong side, which is going to be a Gaines. I'd probably put a JTS next to him, because JTS can play that speed thing. So you got speed and power on one side, and on the other side you got technical ability, along with Cancey's, who can play a bit of speed too. So you put that together, you've got a nice vibe going. Obviously, they're going to rotate and move people around, but we'll see what happens. But I think the Buccaneers were looking at going, right, if we take Kancey now, what's the drop off from tackle when we get to pick again? And if the answer is we don't feel it's a lot, guess what they're doing? They're taking Kancey. And if they felt that Kancey, the drop off from him was massive, in their opinion, not our opinion, because remember, it's their room, not our room. We can all have opinions on whatever we want. I thought 2 running backs in the 1st round was insane, personally. In the way football's gone in the recent years, I don't even see it as a 1st round pick anymore. I see it as a 2nd. That's just my opinion. But I can be wrong. I don't want to ridicule anyone who has ever been a running back. It's an extremely skilled position. It's just not as valuable anymore because it's mad about the pass game. So who are you guys looking for? So Bucs Report were kind enough to put a little vibe together for me. They give me the 10 second round cats targets that the Buccaneers can go get. And the first one is, we got Jalen Duncan, offensive tackle from Maryland. All right. athletic dude, talented left tackle, so we need a left tackle. It's always good. Extremely light on his feet. I mean, I don't want to quote what someone else has said, so I feel rude but doing so because someone's put work into this. And Brian Branch is someone Bucs, Rays, and Bolts. They were giving out a bit of stuff. That's a good choice because at the end of the day, we've only right now the Buccaneers only have 2 safeties on the scoreboard on the board, right? And I'm going to take a moment now. Tell you Bucs fans, we're probably going to take a quarterback in this draft. Not tonight, but we're taking a quarterback. Most 90% of teams take 4 quarterbacks. 4 quarterbacks. You heard me right. 4 quarterbacks into off season. Preseason and in preseason games. That's a fact. We are drafting somebody, and we're probably bring a free agent or an undrafted free agent. That's a fact. So we'll see. Will it be the Purdue kid? But we'll talk about day 3 on day 3. Will Levis is a guy that was started here. He's now taken off the board. Unfortunately, I don't get to see the draft pick, so I've got to. So if these guys have been taken, I do apologize. I live in England, merry old England, and we don't know these things about the draft. And unfortunately, you just got to deal with me. But hey, if you know better, please put it in the comments. I'd much appreciate it. Derek Hall, outside linebacker, Auburn. Adding to the pass rush will likely be the theme this weekend. While Kancey does that in a big way, outside pass rush will be a priority. Absolutely. We don't have anyone that we can turn around and say, next to Shaq, who we really got. I mean, I personally think Nelson's I've got a feeling that he's going to take a step forward. Out of what we got, I think he's going to take a step forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers bring it back another guy too. From the roster. We got BJ. Oh my God, this is a name I can't pronounce. BJ Ojulari. Ojulari. That's the best I can do. I'm really sorry. But like Hall, Ojulari is a good pass rushing prospect who shows flashes of dominance. He has donned the number 18 since at LSU, and which is reserved for players which have excellent leadership intangibility. So hey, this is a cat that put this together. I mean, let me go and find my guy. Like, we've got Sidney Brown, Luke Musgrave. I believe he's been taken off the board. Sam DePorter from Iowa, tight end. There's some cats here that Cam Smith, cornerback. I wouldn't go cornerback too early. Buccaneers are set with their 2 set cornerbacks. And we know that the safety guys that we got can play nickel if we need them to. So I'm not crazy. I'd say if someone said to me, you have a choice of what you're going to go for, I'm going offensive tackle, safety, and then edge, then cornerback / running back. But hey, guys, who do you think we're going to go with in the 3rd round? What kind of guys we're looking at? So let's have a little look what our guys, JT Olsen, 5 3rd-round targets for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's have a look. We took Kalijah Kancey, and he's guys going Matthew Bergon, OT from Syracuse. I believe he's been taken. Javatovic. Oh God, I hate it when people have made up. It looks like a made up name. I hate it when Javatovus Martin, safety out of Illinois. Blake Freeland, offensive tackle, BYU. Rosh Kawan Johnson, running back out of Texas. Those could be the guys that our guy, JT Olsen, thinks we're going after. And you know what? I don't think he's 100% wrong, because it'll be interesting to see how this thing shakes out. I'm just going to have a quick look at the draft tracker and see where I'm at, because my TV's decided that it's just going to show me basketball, and I don't have a problem with that, but I don't really find basketball that clever. So Brian Branch is now off the board. Jartavius. Jesus Christ, that took me a minute to figure out. Jartavius Martin is now off the board. The Buccaneers pick is in, and we will see where we will go with this. I'm going to try and get this bad boy up, so I do apologize. I'm trying to figure this out. Sometimes you just got to try and figure life out. It's not that simple sometimes. So who are the Buccaneers going to go for? I'm going to quickly refresh. Oh, hang on. What have we got here? So the Buccaneers are traded up too. The Buccaneers are traded up. We go pick and pick. We go pick. We don't pick, and then we pick again. I just want to check this is right. Give me a moment for my stuff to load, because guys, you live in America, so you probably have a lot better grasp of what the hell is going on. If truth be told, I won't lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat this shit. I don't know what the fuck's going on. So the Buccaneers have taken Cody March, offensive tackle out of North Dakota State, and we know what our guy Jason Light is like for taking guys who are not exactly in Power 5, not exactly in Group of 5 in this case, and going guys out of division, going for guys that people wouldn't necessarily, who have good senior bowls, who have good NFL LPA bowls. That's the kind of guy that Jason Light likes in here. He wants guys who wants to prove themselves. This seems like a kind of cool pick. I quite like it. I'm already seeing people saying Cody March, match. Oh God, don't try and pronounce it. But anyway, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock, and apparently, according to NFL.com, the Buccaneers will be picking next. So, could the Buccaneers be moving up and go and get something else? I don't know what we've moved up to get there, so I'm going to have a quick snoop. We're on the clock. The pick is in for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now on the clock for their next pick. It's going to be interesting to see what we do. So where do you guys? Is everyone happy with the play that we just took? Hey, we took an offensive tackle. We got an offensive tackle. So it definitely ain't gonna be our boy Ligecki there. I mean, he's still fighting for a spot, so you never know. He might go after it. But we'll see. I do apologize. I am trying to get the TV to work, because yeah, I'm not American. It doesn't like me because I'm not American. Sorry, guys. I do apologize. Life sucks. Life sucks when you like American sport, and the rest of the world doesn't give a shit, or America doesn't give a shit. Here we go. Something's happening. So the pick is in for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bit of Guinness. If you guys aren't familiar with it, this is an Irish concoction beer. Tastes bloody lovely. Salut. Tap it merit into you. In the greatest respect, you're a fucking cunt. Go to fucking draft. Tampa Bay. That was my best attempt at an Irish accent. But what I'm watching is some sort of fucking redraw of the last draft, because it's got the Bucs at. Yeah, I'm done. Not working for me, guys. I'm just gonna have to live with the clock. I'm gonna have to live with what's coming up on the internet and go in with the flow. So the Buccaneers now have solidified two parts of their trench work. Guys, tell me your thoughts of this gentleman that we got from North Dakota State. Give me your thoughts on this, because Cody March, this is the guy with 2 front teeth missing. Super aggressive. I believe he's been likened, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, is to Alex Kappa. But Alex Kappa played guard, so I don't know if that's a real like legit comparison. But here we go. So that's what we've taken. I'm gonna refresh this because I'm now in refresh world because it's my life now. Hey, go Guinness. Other alcoholic beverages are available. Let's see where we're going. See, now I've got the 19th down as we've traded. Okay. Okay. The Buccaneers are traded. I look like a Nagoon. I've been telling you all that this is life. This is the way things are. And now we've got to deal with the Green Bay Packers getting their pick. So where are the Buccaneers picking next? And we are not on the we're not on the clock for this round. Where do we fit? Where do we fit in all this? What are we doing here? But yeah, tell me your thoughts, guys. Tell me what you think of Cody March and Kalijah Kancey. I mean, Buccaneers feel too. I said through the entirety of this preseason build up, this off season build up. Sorry, the Buccaneers had to rebuild in the trenches, and I personally felt if I had to go in this NFL draft, I would have gone left tackle, defensive tackle, safety, and then edge. Right now, the Buccaneers have changed it up a little bit, and they've gone defensive tackle, offensive tackle, and then we'll see what's coming up. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go, hey, Bucs raise bolts. Tell me what the trades. Tell me what the dealio is, because I can't really. I don't want to goof around on my computer too much because I'll end up just staring at a computer screen, and that's not fair on the viewers. So if anyone wants to help me out with, instead of me just standing like the crazy British person that hasn't got a clue that's going on, that'd be much appreciated because I could do with that. That's information. That's information I could do with. But I'll put it in, and hopefully someone will tell me what's going on. But the Buccaneers trade, and they go get themselves a left tackle. He's ready. Is he ready to go? Is he ready to do his thing? But I tell you what, Buccaneers got themselves a left tackle, second round. They've gone for a guy I would say is dogged, like a guy with some balls. We have a beautiful guest, Carter Brantley. Here he is. I can see him moving that hair over already. Here he is.
Hey,
there he is.
Slick? How you doing?
Is that you, Bucs raise bolts, or am I just losing my mind?
No, I'm raised RBLR, raised Bucs.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
There's a person. I won't assume gender because I'm not that way inclined.
Right.
You chopped the locks. What happened?
Oh man, it was just.
Is it a girlfriend?
Nah, she's either way. No,
either and or.
Right. It was just getting hot, man. You know how it is in Florida.
I know. I mean, I've participated in Florida. I'm not a Floridian, but I'm interested to see how my beard hangs up in it, which my wife calls a push-up bra for men.
Oh yikes!
It's usually like a man can get ugly. He gets a beard, all of a sudden he just becomes hot again. I was like, "I've got a beard."
Yeah.
The only reason this exists, I did it as a joke, messing around during COVID, and I had this thing here and a little bit there, and one day I just shaved it off. And she went, "What have you done?" Shaved my beard off. I said, "You grow it back again." I was like, "Why?" She went, "Look good." And I was like. And then one of my friends said, he says a hairstylist, and he goes, "You do realize the beard is the push-up bra for men. It just instantly makes you better looking. So when you get older, Carter, because I know you're a young gun, aren't you?
23. So
You're a young gun. I mean, I'm 37. I'm 38 this year.
Oh snap! Okay, there you go.
Yeah, man. I'm pushing out the age now. So It's the silver in the hair. That's the one thing I look forward to when I get my hair cut. I'm like, he's gonna shave all my got my silver bits. But
Sure,
hey,
for sure.
how are you feeling about this draft? Talk to me about Elijah Cansey. What do you think of the pick?
Yeah, I've loved both of the picks. The first pick especially. If they were gonna go two big guys. I mean, they couldn't have picked two better ones. Cansey's a really, really fun interior lineman. I think him and Vea are going to cause some real problems in the NFC South. And I love both of these picks so far. I've said from the very beginning, I thought they needed to spend the first two picks on big men and, on either side of the ball. And they've done just that. They could go three at this point, honestly, if they picked an edge rusher.
To be honest, I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah,
I think you've got to go safety at some point.
for
That's the
sure.
only thing I would say.
Yeah, I was a
Did we
bit
trade up? Did
surprised.
we trade up to get? Is it Cody March?
Yeah,
What's the pronunciation of the name?
I think it's Monch. I'm not from
March. Okay, so
up
you know
there.
when you read the name and you're like, is that right?
Right, right, yeah,
It's like the whole Geteke thing. It's like I remember there were people saying Luke Gadecki
right.
uh,
Yeah,
until I read like a media report and it's Geteke.
yeah,
Um,
I'm not sure what the pronunciation is.
no, that's all right. It's all good. We'll figure out as we come because that was figured out like I think it was during the preseason game. So it might take a minute, but you never know with names. But what did we moved up in the draft? Is that correct?
Yeah, moved up two slots, I believe. They gave up a sixth rounder to do it.
Okay, I'm cool with that because people people talk about draft picks like they're gold, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes you have to remember that draft picks are just most 6 round draft picks don't make the roster, and people don't realize that. So when
Right,
people turn around and go, "We should trade this person for this," and it's like, I get what you're saying because you want to get something out of them, but what you're asking for is probably a guy that might not even make the roster. Like he's probably on the practice squad.
right.
Let's be
Yeah,
real.
yeah. And if you see a guy you like and you're worried about a team snatching him up before you get there, um, you know, giving up a sixth round pick for peace of mind, you can't really beat that. I was a bit surprised to see them because Branch fell, and I was
Yeah,
surprised that he fell so much. And I was thinking maybe they were going to trade up, what the Lions did. They traded up to get him, and I thought maybe the Bucs could have done that. But
I think they quite
I'm
like Sidney Brown though too.
yeah, and like I said, I'm certainly not upset with going, multiple big men in the first two rounds. So they had so many options to go with these picks. Pretty much as long as they didn't go running back or special teams
I
or
agree. I
or
completely agree. When I saw running backs go, like there were running backs being touted. There was a running back
oh,
being touted for the Bucs. I can't remember his name, but he
Bijan
went.
Robinson, yeah,
Yeah, he went to the Falcons, I believe.
yeah, he went
And I remember seeing that going, and then people going, "Oh, we got to face him twice a year." And I'm like, oh, we're slated to have one of the best run defenses in football. We've gone against people like Derrick Henry and made him go under 100. So, or he barely hit 100.
right
So if that's the best they can do, that they can get 100-yard running back. Right done.
for sure,
Really.
right, yeah, with the
But how
seventh
many times is it
overall
going to
pick,
take you to get to that 100? That's the question. It's not.
right,
It's the efficiency of how you get there. It's not.
sure,
Oh, I got 100 yards. Okay, if you got 100 yards, but it took you X amount of attempts, a stupid amount of attempts to get there, that you're under 3 yards a carry, then job done.
right,
What does 3 yards carry get me? That gets me three. That's get me 3 and out every time
for sure,
on paper, right?
right, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just in my mind, it's just so not discouraging, but just so weird to pick a running back in the first round at this point in the NFL,
Yeah,
especially
I agree.
seventh overall. And the Lions picked one Jameer Gibbs at 12 overall, and it was like Gibbs was projected to be a second round guy in most mocks.
Mm-hmm.
So just really some weird stuff in the beginning of the draft when it comes to the running back room.
Every mock draft I've done, is it Mazzy Wilkes or Wilkins? I'm not too sure of the name. He's a defensive tackle guy that I mock draft a fair few times. Mazzy Wilkins, or something like that. He went in the first round and made some noise, and I was like, oh wow, this is a guy that I wouldn't expected to. This is a guy I was drafting in the second round when I was doing my mock draft. But mock drafts, mock draft versus your real draft is completely different, and we all know that.
For
We
sure. Yeah.
we hear people like poor Will Levis. I mean, I felt bad for him. I really did. I don't feel bad for many people, but I felt a little bit. He tugged on my heartstrings a little bit, and I don't have a soul, so
Right. Right. I feel you.
it's kind of suck to sit there with a camera in your face and they're measuring every move, every pick that's taken, and you just kind of you've got to smile, you've got to be okay with it because if you show any frustration, people are going to debate it, and it's like someone he obviously didn't go uh, this round in the sense of that he didn't go to the green room. He gets drafted second overall in the second round. But there were people going, "Oh, that could hurt his draft stock by not attending," and I was like, "That's really horrible to know that that could be a thing because you just got humiliated on national TV, and you've just got to. It's almost like suck it and see."
Right.
I'm not cool with that. I mean, maybe it's the millennial in me. I don't know. I just don't think that's a cool thing to do. I just think if it was me, I'm checking the fuck out. I'll see what happens. And I know a lot of draft picks. You speak to guys who got drafted. We've had, you've probably spoken to him in James Canada,
Oh
and
yeah.
he was slated to be a. He told me I think it was fourth round all the way to the seventh, and he didn't get drafted to sixth. So imagine sitting through the fourth and fifth. Now, of course, he wasn't on TV or anything. He was at home. But that's a lot of time for for you to go through where you go, this guy doesn't. It's like being picked last in gym class, right? That's
Right.
that's how I've always likened the NFL draft. It's like the ultimate gym class pick. Everyone sits there going, "I want you, I
Right.
want you, I
Uh.
want you."
Yeah.
And it's a bit like that. And
Mm.
like as you become one of those people that gets a little bit further down the line, and I'll be honest, I was one of those kids. Um,
Sure.
I was a kid that could hit like a mule, but I can't catch. I got hands like a fucking digital watch.
Right. Right.
There's no hands. And I always made sure I made up for it for my hitting. So that's why I played defense. It's what you did, isn't it? You couldn't catch shit. Fuck off out of my offensive huddle. Get into
Right.
that defensive huddle. That's
Right.
kind of what happened.
No, for sure. It's yeah. I mean, it was tough to see him just sit there and watch everyone else get picked before him. But I'm just glad he's not a Buck. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't really.
Really, you did not see that. You didn't. You were thankful. I mean, to be honest, it's such a high pick to take, but I think it's a different conversation to have in hindsight because I'm sure there were people like me and you right now back in the day when Aaron Rodgers got passed over or Tom Brady got passed over. We were going, oh, I'm really glad we didn't take that guy. I mean, maybe not Tom Brady, but like Aaron Rodgers went really low in his draft. And hindsight's it's a forgotten thing if you were against him. So you can just turn around and like,
Right. Yeah. For,
you know. Um, but at the same time, it's like if he turns it, he shows everyone. I
yeah.
mean, I'm not saying he will, but there were loads of someone put up his stats and said, "Oh, everyone's upset that we didn't take Will Levis," and I've been calling him Will Levi's.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking of the jeans, and I'm looking at it. I was like, my wife turned around to me. You do realize there's a there's a there's an apostrophe there. I was like, what? Levis.
Right. Yeah.
Shit. Levi's is more than one.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was like, okay. Well, I feel stupid. It's a good job I didn't shout that from the rooftop.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure.
But so you're feeling pretty good against the picks. If you had a pick next, what would you do?
I'd probably go edge just to be quite honest. Although I could see them going corner or safety as well. Pretty much if they go either of those two positions, I think it's a win in the third round. That's that's pretty much hitting their top three priorities. But then again, they could certainly surprise us. I mean, Hendon
They've
Hooker.
moved it before, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah, there's really not a position that after these first two picks, there's not a position that I wouldn't be upset with them taking. Like even if they took Hendon Hooker in the third round, I wouldn't the oh my god, how could they waste like it's a third round pick, like
Yeah, it's a third round. I mean, ideally, you'd like it to be a fourth, but we don't have one, so
right,
that
exactly. So
that's
it's
that.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of tough.
You just don't know. I think people turn around and go, "Oh, it doesn't show confidence in your like the whole Will Levis thing." It's like it doesn't show confidence in your quarterback room. It's like, yeah, but when someone who's not meant to fall to you falls to you, and you take advantage of that, that's not a bad. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's if you look at it from that perspective.
Sure,
Um, but I personally felt that we needed to get better in the trenches. But there have been times where the Buccaneers have picked the trenches and not picked the quarterback. Then there was a quarterback available to them that they could have taken. But hey, that's hindsight. Like it's such an easy thing to sit there going, "You should have done this and you should have done." Hey, we all wish we had a crystal ball and go back in time and we could change a couple of things. I know
right.
I would.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we can sit here and nitpick all day. Like, if we want to go back in time, I mean, they picked OJ Howard in that draft class a few years ago, and they missed on TJ Watt. So I mean, it's like, yeah,
Absolutely.
so we can sit here and nitpick and hypotheticals ourselves to death. I think that they went with their board, and I think they went with positions of need as well as good fits in the slots that they were drafting in, and that's really all you can do.
Sometimes you got to remember that the player that's in hindsight has become as talented or as renowned or as trying to think of the right word, polarizing or as special as we see them now wasn't necessarily how they were perceived in that draft.
For sure.
Like, let's face it, the first draft I ever watched it was the 2000. It was in 2014. I think it was the one where we got Mike Evans. Who was the first round pick in that? Was that the one with Jadeveon Clowney?
That sounds right. Yeah, I think that was the Clowney class. And
Yeah.
then
Oh, what has he done?
right,
And
yeah.
he was like a slam dunk. This is the dude. And this is why the word generational talent irks the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It seems like if you say it enough, eventually you'll get right.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's kind of like the franchise quarterback label. Like you just say
Yeah.
franchise over and over and over again. And it's like, well, Jesus Christ, like can we just stop saying that word? I don't know.
So much pressure as well, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just kind of the whole cliche aspect of it as well. But I'm excited to see what they do with this third round pick just because I don't know, there's a lot of talent still left out there.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of positions that need to be filled. They could certainly go in a multitude of directions. I mean, there's just so many different things they could do with that pick. So I'm really excited to see what they do. Maybe they even trade back into the second round. I don't know. Who knows?
Hey, I wouldn't put it out of the Buccaneers if there's someone they really like that they've got an eye on someone.
For
I
sure.
The Buccaneers have done that in the past, and the second round is the round. Second and third round is the round that you want to move up in because that's the round where you're, from a Buccaneers point of view, it's where you're going to find yourself a starter potentially because
Hmm.
that's what your first round should be a slam dunk starter. Your second round is a fringe starter, and your third round is a guy you're going to develop into a starter either mid season or by next season. On paper, yeah, because we know what really happens and what actually happens is two completely different things. But I think that's how it's kind of perceived. But looking at the Buccaneers right now, I mean, we got our guy, we've got someone in, and then we what it picked. I'm on pick 24. I don't get the draft over here in the UK, so I'm having to watch it from a computer screen. So
Oh, I got
yeah,
you.
yeah, I had it all live, and then it just died on me. It decided to show basketball instead. And I have nothing against basketball, but I don't know enough about it to give a shit.
It is on ESPN two. I don't know if
Mm.
at ESPN
I might,
two.
I have that. I just didn't know. I
Yeah,
went on ESPN one and
it,
they started showing basketball. And I was like,
it
it's not
happened.
what I'm supposed to
The
do.
Warriors and Kings are playing,
Yeah.
and I'm having a lot of fun watching the NFL draft. But yeah, the Warriors and Kings game does deserve to be on ESPN over the draft. Um,
Fair enough. No, and it's the draft. It's
yeah,
basically it's an
well,
ultimate kind of I want you contest.
right, and it's also the second and third round, so it's not even the first.
Yeah,
Um,
it's lost a little bit of gloss.
for
But
sure.
if you had to pick someone right now, I mean, Brian Branch is off the board. If you had to
Yeah.
pick someone right now, you had the opportunity to. Who would you pick?
I don't know. I've got two. Andre Carter out of Army is a really interesting guy. He's an edge rusher. He would be
Yeah.
someone to take a look at. And also Mr. Boutte out of LSU. He's a wide receiver. He's really really good. I don't know that the Bucs need a wide receiver this early still. Because they got Gage, Evans, and Godwin, but I
Hmm.
position that needs to be addressed maybe at some point in this draft. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that they draft someone in the third round with that position because they just like you said they still need a safety. They still maybe need a slot corner. Um, they just have a lot of positions of need
I
that.
think if they get themselves a safety, they can live without a slot corner because we know what Antoine Winfield can do in the slot. So if you get
Yeah,
a guy who can play that traditional, or you get a guy who can play the nickel, and
right,
he doesn't need to. Who and then you're just going, okay, we're going to go to camp and see who's the best nickel
right.
out of the three guys that we got. Because right now the Buccaneers only have two safeties on the ball on their team.
Yeah, it's
They need at least four, right?
right. Yeah,
That's how I said. One of them's gonna be someone from the streets, and it might be an undrafted free agent. It might be someone. I believe Delaney's played a bit of safety when he first came to the Bucs. I can't
right.
remember precisely, but it does ring a bell in my head. I
Mhm.
think he worked his way to corner. And if it was me, I want to work my way to safety because I hate playing corner. I hated playing corner. I detested it. I mean, it's easier in a zone system, but the team I played in, we played a lot of man, and I'm old, and I think I was 35 going up against guys who were 22, so I was like,
Yeah,
I don't need this shit in my life. So anytime they put me to free safety, I was like, oh, I just be smart instead of being fucking fast.
right, right.
It's always handy. I can put wisdom on the table rather than just trying to survive. Um, but that's just the way it is. And in this system, you've got to be a good man corner. You can't be a zone corner. That's the vibe of this team. I think you got to be man then zone rather than zone then man. So that's kind of the vibe of this team. Um, so I'm looking at if I'm looking at a player, it's going to have to be someone. It's going to have to be a safety, or it's going to have to be an edge rusher. It's going to be one. It's got to be an edge rusher that can walk into the room and be either an instant starter or someone that's so good on the rotation that he's going to get to wet his beak, so to speak. All right, cool. Anyway, moving on. Or a safety that's going to solidify a spot because you want your second or third round guy to start making waves. You don't want him to be a guy that's going to be sat there. And I think that's the only reason I like your idea of a wide receiver because that spread offense kind of works with that. But we've all been advocating for our guy, Cade Otton, and a spread offense kills him out of the game. So I think that's probably why I probably wouldn't maybe go for a wide receiver just right now.
For sure.
Maybe you could go fifth on that one. I think that's a right place, but I think the Buccaneers will probably take a running back just to add someone else into that room. They've had a lot of success with undrafted free agents in the wide receiver position, especially speed wise. I
For
mean,
sure.
there's no reason that they can't bring back certain guys. They've had a guy's name escapes me that was a track star at LSU.
Oh yeah, Cyril Grayson. Yeah.
Cyril Grayson, yeah,
Cyril,
that's the dude.
that's
That's
right.
the dude. And that's why when people go, oh, why did we get rid of? I say they didn't get rid of, but why didn't we re-sign Scotty Miller? I was like, well, when you have someone like Cyril Grayson, what's the point?
Right.
The same kind of person, really.
Yeah, and they have that. He was an undrafted free agent last year. I think Devin Tompkins too, because
Mm-hmm.
he was a special teams guy at some point, and I think
Yeah,
he.
he took over from what's the name? Jalen Darden.
Oh, they moved on from him. They moved him to Cleveland.
Yeah. But he was our returner, wasn't he?
Right. Yeah,
And then
Tompkins.
Tompkins took over that spot. So you know that they got a burner in him in Tompkins. So Tompkins is definitely returning. So it's not like they've lost a lot of speed. And like when we were going into last season and we were all talking about like which wide receivers come, because the wide receiver conundrum was a big thing for the Buccaneers last year. Like who are the pieces? And everyone agreed that it was going to be Mike Evans, it's Julio Jones, it's Chris Godwin, and it's Russell Gage. But who were the last two? And there was a big like kind of back and forth on who this person should be
for sure.
based on this, based on that, and then we ended up getting rid of a gentleman that went to the University of Maryland. Name escapes me off the top of my head.
I think it was Tyler, but he went to
Tyler
Minnesota.
Johnson. That's it. Tyler
Yeah.
Johnson. And then he came back, right?
Yeah, he was a practice. He went to Houston, and then he was a practice squad guy, and the Bucs signed him onto their practice squad. I don't think he's gonna. I think he might be on his way out of the league, if we're being completely honest. But
No, I think so too. I mean, there was so much. He was considered a bit of a steal back in the time. Like when we drafted him, he was considered a steal.
yeah,
Just because he was kind of seen as that undersized guy that just got the job done. Almost, I wouldn't say I don't want to like quote a guy who's, reckon him to a guy who's so super talented that who might end up with a Hall of Fame career, but like a kind of a Steve Smith kind of gritty kind of dude.
sure,
That's undersized but doesn't give a shit.
right, absolutely.
That kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of gave off for Buccaneers fans, to myself personally, that he was going to be that kind of guy. And it just never came into fruition. I think Buccaneers fans, we all kind of hoped that he was going to be that guy for Tom Brady. As much as we all know that Tom Brady likes his skinny white boys, we know the limitations of Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller's never going to run in, out, left, right, center. He ain't running the complete route tree. But we were hoping that's what we were going to get with our guy in his name now. My brain's
Tyler Johnson.
Tyler Johnson. Yeah, that's the one.
For sure.
That's the Badger.
Right.
And realistically, that's what we were kind of hoping that we get with him. It just never came into fruition for us. But there's always been burners on this team. Like whether it's been Tyler Johnson never kind of fitted into that, but Cyril Grayson, Scotty Miller, Brashad Perriman, that we've always had someone who can just blow it up. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Buccaneers go, you know what, let's just bring Cyril Grayson in and see what he does in camp. Let's see what Devin Tompkins does again in camp, because he's technically still the starting returner, right? That job's not been taken off him.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna. Yeah, I think he's going to be on the roster this upcoming season. But even if he is, that still leaves him with only 4. Because I think Grayson might be a free agent, and I don't know that they've brought him back. But let me see. Yeah, he's a free agent right now. He hasn't been signed anywhere.
But that means if you're going to go somewhere, probably go to a place that knows you best.
For sure, yeah, he could certainly be brought back. Even just as a practice squad guy, or even as someone that just kind of, a training camp invitee. But yeah, Tompkins, I think, is a lock to make the roster, so that gives them 4. And then they've just got 2 open slots at the wide receiver position. So yeah, Grayson could certainly be someone they bring in, but then they still need more.
Sure.
It'll be interesting to see where they go with the wide receiver room as well as the running back position. I think you made a great point about that position. They're definitely going to want to bring in a 4th guy because Edmonds isn't really,
I mean, did you see the comments? Didn't he say something about like he sees himself as starter, or he sees himself as someone climbing the ladder, or something? There was something I read where he basically said like it wasn't like abrupt. I mean, we all know how like fans of teams. That's no discredit to our Buccaneers fans out there. That will take something as like a statement rather than just like they said it. You know, when people look at context versus like someone says something like, "Oh, I'm the greatest," and then they go, "Oh my God, he said that. He hasn't even made All Pro team yet." And it's like what you meant to say was like if you read the whole thing, it was like, where do you see yourself within this team? Oh, I see myself as one of the greatest wide receivers on this team, or what? For the sake of argument, right?
Right.
That it doesn't necessarily mean he thinks he's the greatest of all time. It just means he thinks he's great and he's backing himself, and that's a good thing.
For sure.
But people can take that the wrong way.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're not going into training camp or making a team with that mentality, I want to be a starter, then that you probably shouldn't be on the team to begin with.
There is no starter on that. If I was a running back, just by someone who is able to be employed, I'm looking at the Buccaneers running back room. That's not set yet.
Right.
There isn't a set starter. Like, don't get me wrong, Buccaneers fans love them a bit of
Rashad White, yeah, for sure.
Rashad White. We love ourselves a bit of that, and we do. But he hasn't actually solidified the spot yet.
Yeah, and they still don't have really a between the tackles guy. Like Keyshawn Vaughn's really their only inside runner because Rashad
But we
White.
haven't seen a lot of him because we've always thrown someone else in there in the name of a guy that's left us in Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, for
But we
sure.
don't know what he's really going to be like between the tackles.
Right. So it's definitely a big question mark. They could still bring in like a power guy to kind of fill that void that Leonard Fournette kind of left. Or they could be super weird and draft kind of another scat back. I don't know. I mean, you never know with these kind of things.
I quite like the what's his name, Huntus. I can't pronounce the last name, but I think he's a guy out of same university as the tackle we just drafted, North Dakota.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't.
Hunter, someone I can't remember the last name though. Mm, escapes me. But he's a fullback, and I was like, ooh, kind of giving me a little bit A Train vibes. But I think we all get that anytime we see a guy who can truck somebody.
Right. Yeah,
The OG.
yeah, for sure. It's tough to fill A train shoes, but
It's tough to fill them because no one will let you fill them anymore.
yeah, because and it's weird on the Bucks because they already have Kokeeft and they love to run him at that kind of.
I mean, I'd love to see what he could do running the ball as well as being that lead blocker, being that dude. I mean, I honestly think this is the draft of the Buccaneers go and get themselves another tight end, and then maybe transition Kokeeft as a fullback slash tight end.
Yeah, I tight end's another one. Yeah, I mean tight end, wide receiver, running back. They could easily select any number of those positions because even if they were just having Kokeeft as a traditional tight end, they seem to typically like to have at least three tight ends on the roster. And with all due respect to Kokeeft, he's a tremendous blocker, and I really like Kokeeft. If Kate Otten goes
He's a
down,
sneaky catcher, though, isn't he? You just he got a catch. Shit,
right? Yeah, I want him running too many routes. If we're being completely
for
honest.
sure.
So they definitely need a backup receiving tight end as opposed to another just guy throwing out there to just block. Which I think there are going to be plenty of those types of guys at the end of this draft.
This is gonna be a draft. I was told by a gentleman on our channel in Books Report in Johnny Dean said that he read somewhere. I don't know who, and I'm not going to quote. I'm paraphrasing here. Is that the person that he spoke? No, I won't say spoke to, but read an article on, who was a big person, maybe a Jeremiah or someone of that nature. Basically said that last draft there was probably about four people that he felt were genuine, and not Cokeith. Kate Arton was one of those. There were about four tight ends in the draft that could be bona fide starters. In this draft, there's close to 15. So it makes sense. Like, I'm not saying like draft analysts have it on the number every single time, but if you're looking at this draft the way they are and the way scouts look at it, if the scouts and they are looking at it in the same way, so they're both battle the same positions, and they are looking at the tight end position in the same way, then they're really looking at it going, oh, hang on, they're right. There are 15 guys. In the fourth round, we may be able to get ourselves a guy who is a solidified starting level, not a starter, but a starting level guy that we can put next to our guy, Cade Otton, and then we can bring our boy Kokeeft to play the fullback role and maybe play a little bit more traditional, old school. I mean, really old school power football, where you're playing almost 22 personnel, and or you're rotating guys around and you're motioning guys around to really kind of, we're going to run it, but we're going to punch you in the mouth to run it in front of you, kind of thing. Rather than, it didn't really feel like no one was punching anybody in the mouth last year.
Yeah, it was a lot of standing around and kind of
A lot of panicking.
yeah, a lot of standing around watching guys just run into blocks and running into very tight or non-existent holes. So yeah, I'm really hoping that, like you said, that they get a tight end that can kind of be that backup role, and maybe O'Keefe shift more into, like you said, a fullback or maybe just blocking tight end role. Because they need to,
He can catch. So what that fullback position, you can bring a guy out that the fullback always gets forgotten about.
for sure. Yeah, they
You
definitely
get a goal line situation or a extremely short yardage situation. You give that little toss, or they think it's coming to the running back, but really the running back is the decoy, and it's going to the fullback, and the fullback is charging that motherfucker up, and he's going to get that half a yard that you need or your yard that you need.
right, and they
That's
all
how inventive people use the fullback position.
for sure, and they can also use it in motion. They can kind of line them up at the tight end position and bring them into motion and line them at fullback, because that offense has been so stagnant and just so behind on the
And
time.
that would make so much more creativity on the line from what your blocking scheme is asking of you, and it asks more questions of the linebackers that you're going against, because they now go, oh god, they've done something different. Now we need to reestablish what they were doing, because they had two tight end set. Well,
For
on
sure.
two tight end set, they do X, Y, and Z. Now they put a fullback in, they do something else. And
Right.
then by the time that information is digested, if you get the snap off in time, you can get away with something or do something that they're not prepared for, or they haven't adjusted to yet quick enough yet. So you catch them on the back foot, which is a first down, or it's a long gain. Do you know what I mean? It's
For
that
sure.
difference, and it's the creativity that we've been kind of missing. And
Yeah.
it's something I've been kind of excited about. This new the new offensive coordinator, Dave Canales, has been very open spoken about the technicality of run play, which is kind of interesting for me. Like, he uses a very broad spectrum of verbiage to talk about the run game and stuff. Like, he's very eloquent with his words and very technical with his elocution of how he speaks, in comparison to like a what we've had in the past, who's just like, yeah, we run shit. It kind of feels like sometimes we just turn around and go, yeah, we run shit. And then you've got Dave Canales going, oh yeah, so what we do is we slide this guy here, and what we're trying to do is create a mismatch there, and what we do is we can do that. And you're like, oh, okay. What all I got from his press conference is this guy is very technically spoken, like
For sure.
really technically spoken. And I don't know if that's a case of him just using his language and his intelligence to put it into words.
Hmm.
And he's like, I'm not going to impress you with swagger or anything like that. I'm going to impress you with the power of words and technical words. We don't know what we're going to get out of him yet until we see him line up.
Yeah. I mean, I hope he works out, because, like you said, he seems like he's a smart guy. He's been very well spoken in his press conferences. And it's definitely a very different vibe from the Byron Leftwich era, which was kind of, I don't want to say borderline arrogant, but it just felt like at points he was very much reliant on the fact that he had Tom Brady. He's got a Super Bowl ring now. He kind of fell back on that quite a bit. And Dave Canales, he's got something to prove. He's a first time OC. This is his shot. So
It is a shot, and he came here for it. He believes we got something here for it. I'm excited more than anything. I mean, let's see what he can do, because at the end of the day, we don't know.
right, absolutely. I mean, this time next year we could be talking about a completely new coaching staff. It could be new head coach, new offensive coordinator, et cetera, et cetera. So we just got to ride the wave, see how it goes, and yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes. But I got to hop on, brother, or hop
No,
off.
no problem, Carter. No worries. I'm close to finishing up anyway, so it's getting close to my bedtime.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna change the channel to the basketball game pretty soon here. So I'll catch you later, my man.
No worries. Carter Brantley, tell everyone where we can catch you, my brother. Tell her what you're up to.
Yeah, I mean, Bucks Report, Carter's Corner, as always. RBLR Sports is where I host a podcast, and then Creative Loafing. I also do some work for them. So check me out, CT Brantley 12 as well on Twitter.
Much appreciated, brother. Thank you for coming on. Much appreciated. It's always nice to shoot the shit with you. And it's always nice to have a good conversation with another Bucks fan. So, Carter Brantley, I thank you. Much appreciated, brother. Enjoy your night. I'm going to go sleep in the next half hour or so. So, you enjoy your basketball game. I'll catch you soon, brother.
Hell yeah, yes sir, brother. I'll catch you, man.
Okay, guys. So the Buccaneers right now are, and I'm just about to check this again. We're towards the end. I mean, I'm going off what I see. So um, the second round is pretty much done. It's not far off, guys. I want to thank you for jumping on. It's a big appreciation for me. First time doing the draft kind of stuff with you guys, so appreciate. Got my Guinness. Guinness is always good. Guinness is always good. Other alcoholic beverages are available, so take advantage of those. Just a little update of myself and what's going on with me. My team is in its penultimate um, practice. So we're going into our second to last practice of the season, and we are gearing up for the Chester Romans, who is our first team that we play off the bat. But don't you worry, Slick has got it covered. We're looking at the tape. We're getting it covered. We're getting our boys sorted. Hopefully, we can come away with a win. We got it. We're going to flip the script. This team's on the up and up. Be ready for our journey. I will post links to our games. So, I mean, I don't know about the away games, but the home games, there will be links to watch us. So if you guys want to give it a little bit of love, get a bit of charity and watch a bit of Brit Ball, I would appreciate it. Shout me out. Curse me out if you have to. I'll come for you if you do, just because I know people like to fuck with me. But regardless or not, your appreciation is appreciated. So if you want to watch a bit of British football and see what we're about, this is Division 1, so this is one division away from our Premier Division. Please, by all means, tune in, give me your thoughts. Hey, I'll appreciate it. But as always, we're in the middle of the draft. Buccaneers are picking. We've got another pick to come. Bucks on me, Bucks on free. 1, 2, 3. Go Bucks!